Hi, it's drdrake63. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Many of you who have watched can probably tell that I'm a big rifle guy. You don't see a lot of handguns talked about or reviewed on my channel, and there's a reason for that. A rifle's a rifle, a handgun's a handgun. I happen to think rifles are just a lot more fun. They shoot farther, they shoot bigger rounds, and you can carry more rounds. So what's not to like? But there's times where you just simply can't use a rifle, or you need something small and very compact for some kind of a backup in case your rifle fails you, or you run out of ammunition, or you happen to like shooting pistols at the target range, which is the predominant use. I'm going to talk to you today about my favorite pistol, has been for a long time. It's a 9mm CZ75B D, and that stands for Decocker version. We'll get into what that means, show you this weapon, and hopefully you'll get a kick out of it. The CZ75, as the name kind of indicates, was first produced in 1975 by the CZ plant in Czechoslovakia. We didn't know about these guns in the West for quite a while, just due to the fact that it was one of the behind the Iron Curtain countries. And of course, we've always been so in love with our firearms and 45s and things of that nature, we didn't consider the world much beyond that. Surprisingly, though, this is one of the most mass-produced sidearms in the world. It is currently used by police forces and militaries world over. You can see by flipping this over, this gun is not light. It's 1.7 pounds. To give you an idea, that's basically 5 ounces or a third of a pound heavier than a Glock 17. Okay, here you can see that the gun is unloaded. I have performed a safety check. I'm going to explain a little bit for those of you that do not know how a decocker works. Most of us are used to a safety whereby after we've chambered around and after we've chambered around, we can engage the safety, and it's impossible to pull the trigger. This is a single action, double action decocker, which means that this can be fired. There is no safety, but you can decock. Let me explain. If I've got a round in here and I've racked the slide, I'm cocked. I'm ready to go. Okay. Real nice light trigger pull there, by the way. However, if I've got my gun cocked and I'm ready to go, and all of a sudden I realize, you know, I don't want this weapon to be in condition 1, as they say right now, well, then I simply engage this lever, and it's going to bring the hammer back down to a position where now it's going to be harder to pull the trigger. It's kind of halfway in between the long pull and the short pull. But it's a much more deliberate pull now than if you were at a full cock position, and that's what you have. Sight-wise, nothing fancy here. These are too small. I can tell you that much right now. When I originally got them, they were glow in the dark. They never really glowed in the dark, but that's okay. Nice serrated kind of top of the barrel. You see right here next to my index finger, that circle, that's your loaded chamber indicator. It's pretty pronounced. Here's what it looks like when it's not loaded. And here's what it looks like with a round in the magazine. It's very easy to pick this up. It's very positive. You can feel it. Is my gun loaded? Is it not loaded? I talked about the Browning high power earlier. This tilt barrel design, the big change over the 1911 for Browning. Instead of having this lug that locked in, now you have everything incorporated into the barrel, so it's called the tilt barrel design. So you can see it's a 5-inch barrel on the CZ. One thing that's different about CZ firearms, The slide is integral to the frame. If you look at this frame here and you see the rails, they extend all the way back. And this slide is locking in with all this surface area. So you've got all of this, which is engaging these rails. And if you compare that to most guns you see these days, everything's riding on two rails that sit right here. What's the net result? This tends to be a lot more accurate gun, and this tends to be a gun that's going to stay on target a lot easier. So that's kind of neat. But if you look at this and the way this is put together, this is no frills. There's nothing fancy about this. This is a military pistol that has worldwide use. We just didn't happen to know much about it because it was a commie block pistol for all those years. And we didn't have a lot of knowledge over the small arms, but my understanding is that this is the most carried handgun by police forces and militaries throughout the world. Somebody can correct me on that. You can see from the 03 this gun was manufactured in 2003. The strange little stamp on the left shows acceptance by the Czech military. I have heard a lot of people say, and I fall into this category, that in hand, this handgun, feels more comfortable and more natural than just about any other handgun they've ever held. For me, this is the A#1. The shape of the grips and how your hand engages it is just perfectly ergonomic. You can see this shape here where you've got this kind of large bevel, if you will, on the trigger guard well at the bottom of the frame. This has been copied by the Israelis, by the Turks. You see these guns, Koenigs, IWI is putting out something very similar to this, all modeled after the CZ75B. And why is that? Well, it's ergonomics for sure, and it's reliability. There's no question about it. And I think we're going to see some countries will hang on to these things because they last forever. But I think what we're also going to see is probably at some point more and more these are going to be replaced by polymers. As always, thanks for watching. I appreciate you taking the time to look at these videos. I'm going to leave you with some pictures of what this gun has evolved to for very many shooters. It's so popular anymore. Versions of the CZ75B to sign off with. Once again, this is Dr. Drake 63. Thanks for checking out my videos.